Hello, can you guys hear me? Thumbs up. Okay, good, good. We're gonna still wait on a couple of people, but I just wanted to make sure that my end is working. I'm trying to get the computer set up in a good spot. So we are now recording and I am going to share my screen. So are you all able to see the PowerPoint? Thumbs up? Okay, perfect. So you all are attending this because you plan to student teach in 1 year. It's kind of crazy to think that spring 21, you will be student teaching, and if you really think about it, exactly 1 year from now, you will be pretty much at your midterm for student teaching. So that's really exciting, and I can't wait to, see where you all are hoping to go, and we'll talk about all that. So if you are like the girl on the PowerPoint, you might be thinking, oh my goodness, student teaching in a year, that's a lot. I don't know what to do, and I'm hoping that in this next hour I can maybe make some of those questions go away and we will get you on your way. So first things first, the Office of Field Experiences and the Office of Licensure are going to be the two offices that you all work with pretty much hand in hand for the next couple of semesters. You've met Danny Smith, she's the director. I'm Megan Lenz, I'm the assistant director. And then Christy Steinberg is the one that's going to complete the audit of your file, and she will be the one that will ultimately sign off on your licensure or recommendation for licensure. So we are the whopping three people that if you have questions during this process, we are the ones that you can email. So the objectives for today, I'm going to overview the student teaching experience. I'm going to overview the student teaching application process because it is a process. And then before you, hopefully, I don't want to say before you leave today, but before you get too far down the road, we would like to have the intent to student teach form from you. If you can send it to me today, that's great. If it's tomorrow or over the weekend, that would be great, but I'd like to have it in hand within the next couple of days. So, overviewing the student teaching experience. This is your capstone experience. This is what's going to wrap up your time in the teacher education program. It will follow the semester, which is 16 weeks, but there are some variations, and we'll talk about that on the next slide as well. So for student teaching, you're going to receive 4-letter grades. That will be a team process between your cooperating teacher and your university supervisor. And those two people will determine your grades in the 4 sections below, which are planning and preparation, classroom environment, instruction, and professional responsibilities. You've already had experience in all of those domains through the Charlotte Danielson framework, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as you get closer to student teaching and what that looks like. You will also do an applied research and reflective practice project, and that project will be graded by a teaching and learning faculty member. We'll talk about that in greater detail as well, but essentially you will be identifying an issue in the classroom, doing some research on it, reflecting, and things like that. So your student teaching overview is that it will be a 16-week placement. You will get 4-letter grades, and then the applied research and reflective practice will be a credit, no credit. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. And please feel free to stop me, unmute yourself if you have questions, and we will answer them. So student teaching assignment variations. You all are elementary ed majors, so you're going to complete a 16-week placement, which will follow the semester. We don't have any of the other assignment variations at a distance, so I don't need to talk about the K-12, secondary, and elementary major minor. although I do believe we have a couple of you doing special ed. Is that correct? I think Hannah, Bailey, anybody else? Okay, so those of you that are doing the elementary plus the special ed, instead of doing a 16-week placement, what we're gonna do is we're gonna condense your 16-week elementary placement to 12, and then we're going to add on the 10-week special ed placement. So instead of doing a 26-week student teaching, we will do a 22-week. And because we're in spring, you'll start right in January when the schools come back, and you'll pretty much go until June when the schools end. But we do have that that length of time to do the elementary plus the special education. Do you have any questions about that?
Megan, can you hear me?
Yes, Emily. Was that Emily?
Yes, that is. I'm just letting you know that I am doing the SPED endorsement as well.
Okay, no, that's perfect. I didn't see everybody. I only have just a snippet of who is all showing up. So thank you for letting me know. And that on the intent form, you guys have this that I sent you. It will ask you if you're elementary plus special ed. So just make sure that you're clicking both of those.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Any other questions about the assignment variations before I move on? It's pretty easy peasy when everybody's elementary. Okay, so now placement options. I know you all are at a distance, but I want you to know that you do have options for student teaching. Most of our students stay locally if they are here in Missoula. You all are in that in-state but beyond the 50-mile radius. And so that is your option for student teaching, but some of you also might think, hey, I might want to go out of state. So there are options for you to student teach out of state. Anybody is welcome to student teach out of state. There are some requirements though. So you have to have at least a 2.75 GPA to be in our program and to student teach and move forward. If you want to go out of state though, you need to have a 3.0 cumulative GPA, and then your content GPA has to be a 3.0 as well. And so I'll talk about how to calculate those. You will also have to have 2 forms of recommendation or 2 letters of recommendation. I'll show that to you as well. I am looking at the group of people. Is there anybody that is thinking about going out of state?
Hannah is.
Hannah is? Okay. Hannah, are you thinking about, okay, and you, Hannah, are you also special ed as well? I see that you're in the chat. Okay, so we're gonna have to have an individual conversation about that, but no, that's okay. Don't worry about your audio not working. You're totally fine. Hannah, you and I will probably just have to have an individual conversation on that. Sound good? Okay, perfect. And thank you for using the chat. I appreciate that. So any other thoughts? Is anybody thinking about going out of country? That's not, okay. And that's perfectly fine if nobody has out of country. So most likely you guys will just be in the state of Montana, and so just make sure that you are maintaining your 2.75 GPA and staying within our program. Now my computer's not working. Okay, there we go, switching slides. So overview of the student teaching experience, continuing on. We can't tell you to not work during student teaching. Back when I went through the program, I was told no working during student teaching, but we know that you need to live, and we know that you need to pay bills. So our hope is that you will reduce your workload during student teaching, because student teaching is a job. You are going to be following your teacher's contracted day. So if they're working 8 to 4, you're working 8 to 4. You're going to be writing lesson plans and grading papers and such. So we want you to know that student teaching is going to be a job, and that you need to make sure that that is your priority. So if you do have to work, just make sure that you're reducing your workload, and then know that we are giving you, this information now so that hopefully you can work as much as you can over the summer, maybe in the fall, so that you can save money to help reduce that workload. Now, taking courses during student teaching, you should be done with all of your coursework prior to student teaching. If for some reason there is a class that you need to take during student teaching, you need to petition that. You would need to talk to your advisor, and then it would go before our field experiences committee. And that will then be approved or not. Oftentimes it's approved if it's an online course and it's in the evening, but very rarely does this happen where a student needs to take a class during student teaching. So just kind of keep that in mind. We do a really good job to help you all make sure that your coursework is done prior to student teaching. So now we're going to talk about the application process. There are 5 steps in the process, and you will have 2 of them hopefully done by today. The first one, step 1, is attending this seminar. You guys can check that off your little list. And then step 2 will be sending me that intent to student teach form. So just know that I would like that as soon as possible. Step 3 is going to be downloading the appropriate handbook, and you can certainly do that today. And then step 4 will be the application itself, which will be forms, professional documents, and supporting documents. And then step 5 will be completing the application, and we'll talk about how that will look for you all at a distance. So this next part, I'm going to start talking fast and furious, so I want you to just stop me if I'm not explaining anything fully, but I really hope that we can get through all of this information. And as my 6-year-old says, hold on to your buckets, because it's going to be a lot of information really quickly. So there are 3 parts to the application: the forms, the professional documents, and the supporting documents. And so I'm going to jump into those now. The application forms are found on the College of Ed website. We will go through these specific steps to get to the applications, and then I will walk you through how to fill them out. They need to be filled out electronically, so make sure that when you get to your specific one, which you are all elementary, we will just make sure you save and print that. Or yes, we'll save and print that because you will need to sign them. And then I will also show you where the handbook is located. There are actually 3 places to find the handbook, and I'll show you where all 3 places are so that you can always have that. And then you will not need signatures on your elementary ed application. My 3 special ed people, there is a special education advisor signature, and so we'll just have to make sure that we can talk with your advisor to get that person to sign off on that from a distance. Oops, sorry, I did not mean to hit that button. So I am going to jump to the College of Ed website. Are you guys still seeing me and seeing my screen? Do you see the College of Ed website? Okay, sorry, I forgot I had gum in my mouth. Very bad teaching. So on the College of Ed website, we're here. What you're going to do is, if you are looking at the PowerPoint, if anybody still has the PowerPoint up, I'm going to walk you through those specific steps on how to choose the application. So you'll go to Degrees and Programs, then Teaching and Learning, and then under Teaching and Learning, Field Experiences, and under Field Experiences, Student Teaching. One more spot, Application Materials. So this whole little web page link is going to have all of the information that you're going to need for the application process. The first part that I was talking about with downloading the application, here is part 1 or area 1 where you can get it. You click on it, it'll open it up in a PDF, and it's right here for you. Do note that it is 131 pages. I'm not asking you to print the whole thing. Save it to your desktop or save it to a flash drive, however you want. This is going to have lots of answers to your questions. There are going to be 2 forms in the handbook that you will have to print specifically, so kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to minimize that. Another place to find the application. So under Field Experiences and under Student Teaching, do you see this Forms tab here? You will click on Forms. This has all the assessment forms, but then it also has the Student Teaching Handbook as well. It opens it in a PDF. There you go. So do you see that I've shown you 2 places where the handbook is found so far? Okay, everybody's doing good. So what you're going to do now is scroll down, we have the assignment date or when your applications are due. We're going to scroll past that. We're going to look at the application materials. So do note again, handwritten applications are not accepted, so make sure that you're downloading these and filling them out. Right here, I have the elementary undergrad post-bac student teaching application. You're going to open it up or download it, and I already have it opened up here. And you're just going to read through this. It is 8 pages long, and the first 5 pages is an overview of the application. Make sure you're reading through these 5 pages so that it really does answer your guys' questions. Download at one of the other places. So I said I'm going to show you 3 places where the handbook is located. I've shown you 2. The third one is here right in the application itself. You can click there to get it as well. Because, like I said, there are going to be 2 pages that you will need to print from the handbook specifically. You'll read through this information. I am going to actually break everything down that's on these pages, but if you forget what I said, it's all on this application. So I will talk about supporting documents in a little bit. I will talk about professional documents. You will need to calculate your GPA. Here is a way for you to calculate your GPA, those tips right there. Then here is the checklist. You are going to need to use this checklist to make sure that you have everything in order to submit your application. And then you're going to need to fill out the application. So you're going to start typing in your information here. You're going to tell me where you want to go. So since you are at a distance, you'll click this Montana Cities request. It's out of area, and then you'll need to tell me whether you're planning for Helena, Montana City, or you're doing Kalispell, Columbia Falls, Whitefish, whatever areas you're thinking, or if you're going out of state, you'll tell me which states. Then you're going to fill in whether or not you will accept a private school, if you have any relatives or family members in the schools, and then after you fill this all out and print it, you'll need to make sure that you sign and date. Now we're going to talk about actually filling out the application. So I really hope that you all will take notes here because this is really important in this section for filling it out. You're going to start filling in the courses that you have completed for this program. Some of you, most of you, will have a lot of these as approved substitutes from the institution that you're at. So what you will do is you will skip the term and grade sections and you'll go to the approved substitute. So maybe you took RIT 101 is what it was called, college writing, and you took it from FECC, 3 credits, and a letter A. Can you guys see me typing in the application?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure as I'm getting into this further that you can see it. Or if you were at Helena College, you would put HC. When you get down to courses that you took at UM, you will only fill out the term and the grade sections. So if you took something from UM, such as your EDU courses, you're just going to type in the term. And here's where I want you to use abbreviations. So if you took academic interventions in autumn 19, you will just do AU 19. It can be a capital or a lowercase, but AU 19. And then the grade. And that's all you need to fill out. You don't need to do anything else with the approved substitute, institution, credits, or grades, just these 2. Or, because if you type out autumn, it's going to make it from 1 line to 3 lines. So use abbreviations for the semester and the year. So just AU and then 19. As you're filling these out, when you get to things that you haven't completed or that you're currently in, just put the semester, term, and leave the grade blank. So any of the classes that you're in right now for like your level 2s, you would just put SP20 and then leave everything blank. Your level 3s, you will just put AU20 and then your student teaching SP21 and just leave those grades blank. as you are filling this out, there's this elementary content GPA little area you need to fill out. Your elementary content GPA is this first page, these elementary core courses. There is a total credits right here. I think it's about 41 credits. You are going to calculate just that GPA. That is your elementary content GPA. Your cumulative GPA is what shows up on your transcript. So make sure that you calculate this elementary content GPA, and that goes in this box here. And let's say I calculated it up as a 3.10. Does that make sense? Any questions?
No.
Kalispell, good?
Megan, I do have one question here in Helena, just for clarification.
Yes.
Are they able to look at just the UM transcript and see absolutely all their courses on the UM transcript, or do they need to blend multiple transcripts?
So hopefully, fingers crossed, their UM transcript should have all of their courses from Helena on it as well. Sometimes they come over funny and you can't tell exactly what the course is, so they might need to log into their system in Helena to see specifically what the name of that course was and making sure that they have the credits and grade recorded. Sometimes it'll just say elective or for whatever reason. I don't know why it will come across that way. So being able to just look at it on their end to fill it out is fine. Because when Christy is doing the audit of her file, she'll be able to log into their system, our system, and see their transcripts as they came across. Does that make sense?
It does, and I asked that because the way we calculate our GPA is a little different than UM's, because we do a 3.67 for an A-, while I think you guys just do it 3.7.
I'm scrolling up. Yes, A- to 3.7.
Yeah, so I just bring that up because we had to manually do all of ours for Helena College this spring when we were doing the TAP applications, because our GPA calculations are different.
Okay. So if they are, and here's the thing, if they are slightly off when you're doing the calculations, Christy's going to go through and verify everything. So that's okay. I would say that she verifies everybody's, but if you're close, that's great.
Okay, thanks, Megan.
You're welcome.
Hey Megan,
Yes.
so when you're doing this, obviously we won't have all these completed when we're turning this in. So do we still just give ourselves like the credit for the classes that we're gonna have, or is it gonna be off and the GPA is gonna be off because we don't have all that credit?
You should have all of the elementary content courses completed.
Oh, never mind. Okay, I see that now. Okay, I get it. Never mind.
No, that's a great question because I have students ask it all the time. So you're good. Any other questions? I'm sorry. I feel like I was just yelling. I don't mean to. I have to project myself in a classroom and I'm like, wait a second, I'm only sitting in front of my computer. So if I'm yelling on your end, I apologize. I just realized that. So let me make sure I answered all of the questions about the application. I'm going to jump back to the website. And is that back on the website on your guys' end? Perfect. Okay. So if you are completing one of our minors, so if you're doing the special education, I don't know if anybody's doing the literacy program, but if you're doing the special education, you also need to complete the special education requirements form that is just below the application materials. So here's the application materials. You'll scroll down. You'll make sure that you do the special education. You don't need to do the full application here. You just need to make sure that you are filling out this special education requirements form. Now, those of you that are special ed, depending on who your department advisor is in our program, you can chat with them via email and ask them to fill or to sign these electronically. So it could be a signature via email, and then we will just make sure that we document that on that form for you. Does that make sense? My 3 sped people. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Moving on. Out of state, who was it? Hannah said she wanted to go out of state. Hannah, just so you know, you will need to make sure you open up this out-of-state student teaching requirements form. Make sure that you read through all of the information on here for out-of-state student teaching. You'll have to do a web search and such, making sure you know what is required for out-of-state. But you will also need to have 2 recommendation forms. One needs to be completed by a teaching and learning professor, and then one needs to be from one of your cooperating teachers in Helena. So those will be a part of your application as well. And then if anybody is thinking internationally, you can definitely look at those options there. So jumping back to the PowerPoint, I'm going to continue on unless there are any questions. Okay. So now we're going to talk about your professional documents, and your professional documents are going to be your cover letter, your resume, and your transcripts, and I'll specifically talk about transcripts in a minute. So your cover letter is a professional cover letter. You're going to address a school administrator, so you're going to keep this very general because we don't want you to limit yourself for these student teaching possibilities. So in your cover letter, you're going to address it, Dear School Administrator or Dear Building Principal. Now make sure that if you are typing out the word principal, that it is your principal and not the principal of life. Okay, just making sure that you're doing that correctly. So Dear School Administrator, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm an elementary education major, and I really look forward to student teaching in your school. Talk about your field experiences, your hopes for student teaching, but don't specify a school or grade level. So like, I am really interested in learning about, you know, this, you know, Common Core and whatever you feel is really important, your hopes and aspirations for student teaching. You're going to make sure that you close it with a nice, I look forward to hearing from you, sincerely, and then your name. Making sure again that you're not specifying any grade levels or schools specifically, because oftentimes we do have to send these to multiple schools. So we don't want you to say, I want this school and this grade level, and maybe that school doesn't have any teachers in that grade level available to take a student teacher, and then we send you to another school and they say, well, they don't even want to be here, so we don't want that. So just kind of make sure that you're keeping it very generalized. We do ask you to keep it to 1 page, if possible, and then making sure that there is contact information on there, that you're using your University of Montana email on that as well. Your resume should also have your contact information on it with your University of Montana email, but making sure that your resume is very brief, that it's an outline. 1 page, you have your contact information, you know, you're looking for a student teaching placement, and then put in little blocks with your field experiences, like I was at such and such school in 1st grade. I did quick bullets, and then moving on. Kalispell, yes, question.
Is there a reason why we need to do our University of Montana email?
Yes, because all communication from here on out needs to be with your University of Montana email, and sometimes students don't have very professional, putting this in quotations, professional names on emails. It's changed more. People do, you know, first name dot last name at Gmail or whatnot. But I've had, and I'm going to just say this out there, you know, like sexygirl75 at yahoo.com. I'm sorry, a building administrator is not going to want to email sexy girl. So we want you to have your professional University of Montana email, because that is just what everybody is using here and at a distance. We want you guys to start using these, and do know that your University of Montana email will be valid after student teaching. So you can continue to use this forever. I see another hand in Kalispell.
I feel like we probably have to, but if we've already locked down a teacher for student teaching and we've talked to the principal, I know it's really early, we still do this, correct?
You do everything, and I'm hoping that you didn't lock it down, because all placements need to come through the Office of Field Experiences. So students are not allowed to make their own placements. If there are conversations with cooperating teachers and administrators, that needs to come to our office and we will verify that because we make all of those placements. So please have that administrator or that cooperating teacher email us because we need to go through all of the proper protocols.
Okay, gotcha.
But still fill that out because sometimes things change. I've had students who were requested and then for whatever reason, I mean, we're still a year out, teacher goes out on maternity leave, can't take you for student teaching. So we need to have this information in hand. Make sure that your resumes are one page as well if possible, just keeping them, like I said, brief, to the point, bulleted. You don't need to use long narratives in that, just keeping it to a one page because administrators want to see that one page cover letter, that one page resume, and then let's talk about transcripts. So your transcripts, you will print off the unofficial transcript form that's on or that's in the handbook, and you will send that to me electronically and then giving me permission to then scan and send your transcript back to you in a PDF. Typically students have to bring that form here to Teacher Education Services and then they have to come with the photo ID. If you're sending it to me through your University of Montana email, I know that's a secured email and that I know that that's you, and then I will be able to send it back to you. Any questions about the cover letter, resume, and transcripts? Okay, so now moving forward, we're going to talk about.
Before you go too fast. So we're accessing it through the handbook?
Yes. What was that?
How does that work? Like we can link to it somehow?
Within the handbook is the transcript request form. You're going to need to fill that out and send it to me. So it's just one page. I think it's page 126 or 128. I can't remember. You just fill that out and send it to me electronically or fax it, however you need to get it to me. Some students will print it off, fill it out, take a picture, and email it to me from their student email, and I'll use it that way. Okay? Questions about that? So I'm going to need a hard copy of your cover letter, resume, and transcripts. And then I'm going to need a PDF version. So you're going to need to scan those 3 documents into a PDF in that order: cover letter, resume, and transcripts. You're going to save the PDF with your last name, comma, first name, and the student teaching term. So Lens, comma, Megan, SP21. You will email that to the Field Experiences, and I will be able to save that because that's what I'm going to be using to recruit your placement. All of this information is on the checklist that's in the application as well, so that you know what all is going to need to be submitted for your student teaching application. Questions about your professional documents? Make sure that you're having somebody edit them. We've often seen grammar errors, spelling errors, things like that. So just make sure that you're having somebody read through it just to make sure that it looks professional. Supporting documents. So I said that there are 2 pages that you're going to need to print from the transcript or from the handbook. The first one was the transcript request form, and then the second one is the student agreement form. That again is located in the appendix of the handbook. You need to print it, you need to sign and initial it, and that is what will also be a part of your application, and it's on the checklist as well. Then you all are going to need first aid and CPR certification. Please know, you guys, online classes are not accepted. You need to have a hands-on class. And I say this every time. I have 2 children. I want somebody who has had hands-on practice and class and training. I don't want somebody performing first aid or CPR, my children, who have gone click, click, click for an online certification. Hands-on experience, okay? So make sure that you're planning ahead to see where those courses might be offered in your area. Fire departments offer them, Red Cross. Look at some of the hospitals or physician facilities. There are, here we have a place called the Nursing Nook. They have, they offer first aid and CPR for new moms, but also for people such as our student teachers. So look and see if there's any places like birthing centers, in your area that might offer support and offer those classes as well, that you are doing first aid and CPR. Sometimes it's only one or the other, so make sure that you're getting both. Does somebody have a question? Samantha?
Yeah. A couple years ago, I took it online or took it face to face, and then last year I took the online course, but I did a hands-on portion with the school nurse at the school.
Okay.
Am I able to do that, or do I need to go back and do a whole face to face through the whole course?
They often have renewal courses that are shorter, and then you would still have to do that hands-on portion.
Okay, so I wouldn't be able to take the course online and then do the hands-on portion?
As long as there is a hands-on component, I think that might be okay. I'll have to double check on that, but we need to make sure that you're having that hands-on experience.
Yeah, because I know I went in and I did the hands-on aspect and did like the CPR on the adult, the child, and the infant.
Okay.
And then also with the first aid aspect of it.
That should be okay. So as long as the card says that you did that hands-on, that should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, Kalispell, I see another hand.
So for myself, I have the lifeguard certification, which is like a step up from the youth thing. Can I submit that to you guys and have it?
As long as it indicates that you have first aid and CPR, yes.
Yeah, because it has that plus a bunch of like drowning victim information and like a bunch of other stuff, but it's all on the content.
Yep, as long as it's, and so we even have some of our students who are wildland firefighters, and so they have that. I mean, they take like a 3-day all-day course. That's okay too, because we know that you are getting that hands-on first aid and CPR to be a wildland firefighter rescue person. So as long as we know that that card covers you for first aid and CPR.
So we would just send you a copy of the submitted card then?
Yep.
Does it be like a notification from our person that completed the course with us or anything?
As long as you have a card or something specifying that you completed a course. So we have some students who maybe they took a class with first aid or with the Red Cross, but they didn't get their card yet. As long as you have something that says you completed that course and that it is first aid and CPR and that it is valid through your entire student teaching, we have to have that at the application deadline day. Kalispell, question again.
So we have to have the first aid and the renewed background check by the time we turn our application in?
Correct.
And when is the turn-in date?
I'm going to go over that in just a few slides. So you're already ahead of the game. So yes, you need to have all of those. So background checks are only valid for 2 years. Since it takes you all as elementary candidates 2 years to complete your program, you do need to get a new background check. So do keep that in mind, that you will need to get a new background check. I can resend you all the information so that your cards are filled out specifically, that we receive your results, and so you guys can get started on that right away. So submitting your application, make sure that you're using that checklist to get your application submitted. So you all are at a distance, and that means you're sending your applications to us. You do not need to spend a ton of money to overnight them or expedite them. I've had some students who have paid astronomical amounts to get their applications to me. Do not do that. Please, I do not want you spending $25 to get your application to me. Just put it in a manila envelope and get it sent to me. As long as we have a postmark date by the deadline day, you're okay. Even if you zip me an email and say, hey, Megan, I put my application in the mail, that's great. Just make sure that everything from that checklist is included in your application or in your envelope. So again, you'll have the supporting or the forms pages, the supporting documents, the professional documents. And so with those supporting documents will be, just go through the checklist and make sure you have everything. Make sure that your application is in the mail by the due date. And then what'll happen is it says upon submission, you will sign up for an interview. What we will do is an interview like this. We will have a couple of you Zoom in or we'll have you Zoom in for the main information, and then we'll do one-on-one interviews with you all on the phone to get your information for your placement hopes and dreams. So as we had said, we don't want you to specify in your cover letter grades or schools. When we have that individual meeting with you on the phone, that's where you can say, hey Megan, I'd really like to be at Edgerton Elementary School, and I really would love to be in grades K through 3. I will take notes on that so that that's where I start with your placement. So just kind of keep that in mind, that we will get that information from you individually after we've gone through the audit of your file. Any questions so far? So let's talk about when the deadlines are. So deadlines, anybody that was going out of state, so that was Hannah, and if anybody else changes their mind, the application deadline date is April 20th, which is about 6.5, 7 weeks away. So you still have plenty of time to get all these parts and pieces together. And then for those of you that are, I want to say locally or within the state of Montana, September 20th is the deadline. Just so you know, September 20th is on a Sunday. So September 21st is the actual application deadline day. If you guys get your applications in that week before in the mail, I will have them, and that way I can let you know, hey, I've got it, you're good to go. Or I might say, hey, you're missing a piece, whatever that might be, and then we can be in communication that way. So make sure that everything is turned in, that you have all of the supporting documents, first aid, CPR, your background check, and things like that. Again, with the first aid and CPR, don't send me your original card. I keep that for you. Just make a photocopy of your original card or the certificate, print off the certificate that they give you, whatever that is, and that will come in the application. Any questions yet? Okay. Keep in mind that Montana is a multiple measure assessment state. We take multiple measures in recommending you for licensure. We take your content GPA, so that those first 40 credits that we talked about, that content GPA. We take your assessment of content knowledge and your praxis score. So you will all be required to take a praxis score, and we will go over that individually at your interview. So when we have that phone interview with you, we're going to go into this licensure and praxis score and all of that information one-on-one, and we can answer questions on that. But if you have any other questions, always shoot me an email, and I can help answer those as well. Graduation applications are due with your student teaching application. Here's what we've done with you distance candidates in the past. So you will include your graduation application in your student teaching application, and there is a fee that's for turning in your application. If you include your check with that, what will happen is Christy will audit your file. She will sign off on your graduation application, and then she takes all of you distance candidates with your checks and she submits that to the graduations office for you. Typically we hand those to students here, then they walk it over to graduations and pay for it. We will do that for you. Just make sure that you include the fee that is at the top of the graduation application. The graduation application is located on the registrar's office website, and it's a one-page document that you will just fill out, and you can fill it out by hand, and then make sure you just include that with your application. Any questions about graduation applications? Okay. We do have a few unique student teaching opportunities. I know that most of you are staying in your areas, but if you are willing to travel around in Montana, we do have a few of them. The Montana Rural Education Association offers a fellowship stipend for our students if you're teaching in a rural area. If that's something of interest to you, you can email Danny and she can send you that information. Great Falls is an option for you in the state of Montana. They do offer housing. I'm going to be doing a unique opportunities meeting, but if something piques your interest, shoot me an email and I will specifically give you that information. So looking at the PowerPoint, if something on here is like, oh, I want to know more about that, just send me an email and I will help answer those questions. So guess what, you all are done with the first 2 steps. Well, you're at least done with the first step. You attended this seminar. And then if you can all please send me your intents to student teach, I will get those added to the people that are here. Just so you know, they are not a binding contract. For whatever reason, somebody's plans might change. Maybe they need to take a semester off. If that is the case, just let us know. We will move your little intent form to the next semester, and then we will just keep you in line for that next go around. So are there any questions? Kalispell.
Sorry, since I don't have it, am I gonna be penalized for not turning it in the next couple days? Because I know you said it'd be in the next couple days you wanted it.
If you can't get your intent to me for a couple of days, that's totally fine. I just need to have it soon.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other just general questions about student teaching, the application, anything? Okay, if you think of something, you have my email, feel free to just send me an email, ask all sorts of questions. I'm here to help. We want this to be as seamless as possible, and we look forward to accepting your applications by that September 20th, 21st deadline. But if you have any questions before then, yes, please. Oh, Kalispell, yes, go ahead.
So our intent to student teach form, are we just sending that to you or to you and it?
Just to me is totally fine. I have a file for them. If we don't have any other questions, you all are done. We got this done in less than an hour. Just want to make sure before I sign off, no other questions.
We're good in Kalispell.
Okay, Helen, are you guys okay? Good, thumbs up. Any of the others, Bailey, Hannah, Samantha, Emily?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you all so very much. Have a happy Friday, and I look forward to getting your intents. And thank you, Mary, for the thumbs up. And have a wonderful weekend. I hope we have some nice weather.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.